Nah, hell no. What the hell is this, bro? Really? No way. A reunion, man. A reunion between Demko and Markstrom. Ay. Today, what I wanted to do was respond to an article posted on the Canuck Way by Jonathan Bailey from 2 days ago. It dives into 3 Vancouver Canucks trade destinations for goaltender Thatcher Demko, and this is crazy. Not necessarily the idea of a Demko trade itself. I can understand the argument behind it, the fact that Thatcher Demko has been hurt, the fact that Thatcher Demko has a contract that is expiring soon, and the fact that the Vancouver Canucks have given Kevin Lankinen a contract that expresses their long-ish term belief in him. Not to mention the fact that Artie Party Artur Shilovs is tearing it up in the AHL right now. There are a number of reasons to suggest the rationale behind a Thatcher Demko trade, even though he is 1 year removed from being a Vezina finalist and widely considered one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. Now, I don't think it's totally fair to say that Demko is not that anymore, but there is a lot more room for doubt here. Because of the injury woes, because of the inconsistencies with his health, and because of the fact that Demko did finish off this season with a much worse save percentage than he's particularly used to. He has been a 900-plus caliber goaltender his entire career, but this previous year he had an .889 save percentage. Again, injury struck. This guy wasn't necessarily healthy. He had seasons where he had better save percentages than the one he had this year, but worse goals against numbers, which is ridiculous when you think about it. Ultimately, though, stepping away from the .985 save percentage that Bubble Demko had in the playoffs 5 years ago, this has been a pretty rough go for Thatcher the Snatcher. And it's why Frank Seravalli and Jonathan Bailey, among others, have gone out there and discussed the idea of a Demko trade. He was included on Seravalli's trade board list, after all. Now, let's dive back into this Canuck Way article, which I will leave a link to in the description, and read about the teams that Jonathan Bailey proposes Demko could be sent to. The first one, it's gonna shock y'all, it's the New Jersey Devils. Wait, this isn't Quinn Hughes, the article writes. The Devils need help anywhere they can get. Their forward depth is absolutely abysmal, and it costs them in the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and Jake Allen is a pending free agent who could command more than the Devils can afford. Yes, the Canucks could always retain salary on Demko, whose $5 million cap hit could be an obstacle for New Jersey. That'll help the Canucks get better trade assets back, which they can use to either rebuild or add another player to help them win now. With the Devils, Demko would reunite with his old goalie partner in Jacob Markstrom, who is not getting any younger and missed extensive time with a knee injury this year. If New Jersey does not want to hand youngster Nico Dawes the backup goalie job, Demko should be reliable enough and will be immediately pressed to play north of 40 games in a season unless there's an emergency. Bailey writes here that he doesn't expect the Canucks would want to trade Demko somewhere in the West where he could haunt them, so options are limited. Perhaps by adding a pick or a prospect, the Canucks can add a future star like Seamus Casey to the fold. He's got the offensive exploits to mimic and not necessarily replace Quinn Hughes should the Canucks captain bolt for New Jersey in 2027. Dude, I'm kind of thinking about it like, could you imagine sending Demko over to New Jersey, have him as the de facto backup, as a pure 1A, 1B tandem rotation with Jacob Markstrom? The guy's split 41 and 41 games, and Demko all of a sudden is doing the exact same song and dance that he was doing back in 2020? I mean, that sounds so ridiculous when you think about the narrative there. And it becomes even more ridiculous when you think about the Quinn Hughes aspect. Hey, send him over to a team in New Jersey that already has Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes, the team that everybody is projecting Quinn Hughes is going to leave for in 2027. Why not just set everything up for New Jersey to become the Vancouver Canucks 2.0? Remember how we were memeing about the Calgary Canucks and how Tanev, Toffoli, Markstrom, all these guys went from Vancouver to Calgary at some point or another? Okay, Toffoli didn't go right away, he went to Montreal first, but There was a very big joke about that, like 4 years ago-ish. The New Jersey Canucks would be exactly the same thing. And everybody talks about the idea of sending over some other guys to this team. I get that Seamus Casey is a really nice prospect, and I'm a really big fan of him too. I like him a lot. But Vancouver giving any sort of incentive, any extra incentive to Quinn Hughes to potentially leave and head over to New Jersey in 2027, I am not on board with that. Markstrom, Demko, Jack Hughes, and Luke Hughes, they'll all be calling Quinn Hughes' name in his dreams, and it's going to be so extreme that he'll inevitably leave Vancouver, and all Canucks fans' hearts are going to be broken. How wonderful does that sound? Now, to make things even more ridiculous, let's go out there and talk about the other team that Jonathan Bailey writes about as a potential Thatcher Demko suitor here. It's the Montreal Canadiens, and I saw this and I was like, okay, wait a minute, what the hell? What is the darn narrative here? Well, I'll tell ya. The article writes that the Canadiens are a team, like the Flyers, looking to take the next step forward. They even made the playoffs, though they ultimately suffered an unceremonious first-round exit at the hands of the Capitals. Truthfully, Sam Montembeault, who played 62 games for the Habs this season, is not really a starting-caliber NHL goalie. He'd be better served in a platoon. Maybe on the Canucks with Lankinen? Bruh, oh my gosh, are they really suggesting Demko for Montembeault? I won't necessarily agree with the assessment that Montembeault isn't an NHL-caliber starter, because I think that he can be. It's just, he wasn't consistent enough this year to fully get that label, but I will say he had to play 62 games on the season. He played a lot, and he was playing back-to-back games as well. I think under normal circumstances, Sammy Montembeault would have a much easier time stringing together better results. The article goes out here and says that the Canadiens have 7 picks in the first 3 rounds of the 2025 draft and are capable of sending the Canucks a stopgap goalie in return for Demko, who would provide an immediate swell of talent at the position in Montreal. A recovered Demko, especially if he can rekindle his 23-24 form, would be the perfect long-term mentor for a guy like Jacob Fowler. In the East, the Canucks won't have to worry about being punished by their choice, though the media will have their say if it does backfire. Oh my goodness, man. Demko and Jacob Fowler together, 2 Boston College guys learning from each other. That is so perfect, and I hate how perfect it is, because now you're going to have me starting to think about the idea of a Thatcher Demko trade to Montreal of all teams. Ay, what a way to start out the weekend, eh? I will say, Sammy Montembeault is a good enough goalie to the point where I feel like if he split the load dead set even with Kevin Lankinen, you might be able to get some pretty good results here. It's just trading away Thatcher Demko for Montembeault. Obviously, 1-for-1, it's not going to work. You're going to have to add some picks there if you're Montreal. I mean, say what you want about Demko's injury. He is still a Vezina caliber guy, or a Vezina nominated guy from last year. So he still should, in theory, have some strong pedigree in trade talks. The question is, though, is Montreal really a team that would be willing to give this spot to that guy? Would they believe in his profile after the injuries? We're always talking about Kirby Dach and how this guy's getting hurt and he's never available and he kind of blows in terms of what the Canadiens expected. Would Demko be a similar situation? Especially without a tangible backup. I mean, okay, Fowler is great. A lot better than Cayden Primo was this season at the NHL level. But if Demko has the same woes injury-wise with Montreal in 25-26, then all of a sudden you're kind of crap out of luck. You're going to have to force Dobesh to play all these games. You're going to have to force Fowler to come up in a tertiary role. You might be rushing these guys. Who really knows? So if you're a fan of the Canucks, if you're a fan of the Canadiens or the New Jersey Devils, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of a Thatcher Demko trade to either Jersey or the Habs. What are your thoughts about this idea? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.